Okay, good morning again and welcome to our discussion segment this morning. My name is Ijoma. Good to have you here. Yeah, what I'm going to look at, the 2024 World Wildlife Day. Have you heard anything like that? Okay, but you know what is world and we know what is wildlife. Okay, so that's exactly what we're going to look at today. I have some experts that have joined me to look at that too. They are Dr. Jacinta Okamaka Ezewenyi. Dr. Jacinta Okamaka Ezewenyi is the HOD Forestry and Wildlife, Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Oka. Good morning, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning.
Okay. And then we'll have Onyekachi Chukwu. Onyekachi Chukwu is a lecturer from the Forestry and Wildlife Department, Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Oka. I think he's also a director of one NGO.
Yes, Director Green Hat, as Green Initiative for Humanitarian Aid and Development.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah. I welcome you to Good Morning, Anambra, Onyekachi.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Okay, good to have you here. Yes, we said it is World Wildlife. Okay, let's see how we'll take off. And then it has a team which is exploring digital innovation in wildlife conservation. The World Wildlife Day 2024 celebration will aim to raise awareness on the latest applications of digital technologies in wildlife conservation and the trade, and then of the impact on ecosystem and the communities around the world. I just want to let you into what we're discussing this morning looks like. But like I told you that I have experts in the house that are going to help me look at that. Let me start with the HOD, Dr. Jacinta Okamaka Ezewenyi. What is this all about, ma?
Thank you very much. This year's World Wildlife celebration is all about giving awareness on the digital application of some technologies in wildlife conservation. And when we talk about wildlife conservation, we are not just talking about animal alone. It involves both fauna and flora. So it's all about plants and animal. Now, the world is going globally in technology. Then this awareness that this year 2024 World Wildlife celebration is all about giving people awareness, especially the youth, on how possible it is to use technologies in managing and conserving what we have in the natural resources. And these plants and animals are something that people don't value. They always see it as something that is difficult to manage. They see it as something that is difficult to manage, something that, is impossible for someone to conserve. It's something that is impossible for people to look out for and protect them. But with this digital innovation, it will help in letting us know that these animals, these plants can be protected, can be monitored using just a simple techniques.
Okay, when you say wildlife, it is plants and animals
yes,
that you're talking about here.
Yes.
Okay.
When you say wildlife, we are talking about both animal and plants, and not just animal alone.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Onyekachi, wildlife, animal and plants. Is it the plant I have in my compound, or the animal in the zoo at the University of Ibadan that's the keeper? Or how do we relate this to what we're talking about today?
Okay, thank you very much for having me once again, and thank the management of ABS for always putting up programs on forestry, on wildlife, on environment. Now, coming to your question, when we talk of wildlife, they're actually all plants and animals that are out of the direct control of man. Okay, that's why when we say somebody is wild, that means that person was not tamed, that person is almost out of the direct control of a particular superior or guardian. Okay, so the plants you have in your house, of course, you are taking direct control of it. You determine how it grows and so on and so forth. Although there are also wild animals we keep that is in captive, but of course, even as NGO, as department in UNIZIC, we to an extent discourage captive, that is, we call it ex situ conservation, whereby you keep these animals in the cage. Ex situ conservation. When we is that an English word? Yes, ex situ. Then in situ is when you are conserving inside its natural environment. Okay. But if it's ex situ outside the natural environment, just imagine during COVID when we're all caged at home, you know, it's so difficult to thrive. And remember, one message I want to give people this morning is that these wild animals also have family just like we have family. They also have feelings just like we have feelings, and they need to be protected. So when we talk of wildlife, on your question, we're talking of anything out of the direct control of man. And I want to bring you shocking news. You know,
that is what the awareness we are bringing, that these animals can be monitored even in your own, at your own comfort, in your own home. You can still set up technology, you can still take up a platform you can use to monitor them while they are still in their natural environment. Then you are talking about how do we monitor, how do we control them or conserve them? Or protect them. Yeah, or protect them. Now in Nigeria, we have what we call national parks. We have forest reserves, and these are gazetted areas. Do we still have forest reserve? Yes. The one I used to know in Onitsha has been that is Afaka. Brought down with beautiful, yes, beautiful that houses. Is actually the problem we are having now in Anambra especially, though it's still going around the country, Nigeria. It's horrible because I know that the eldest sister in my family worked with the Federal Minister of Forestry. They're in Akbaka. Yeah. So when we were small, we used to go for holidays. All of a sudden, everywhere is raised with beautiful houses. Yes, and we are still facing the issue up to date because the Achala Forest Reserve we have now is, in fact, it's gone already. We have a Mamu Forest Reserve also at Ndukwenu, where we have the boundary with Enugu State. Is also gone. Something is wrong with it. And these are gazetted areas. Of course, there are not areas that people can just venture into or get into and start taking any animal or cutting trees the way they feel like, because it's a protected area gazetted by the federal government. So what happened to them? But today, the issue is this. The federal, I think the national park is more protected now. The national parks are where the animals are protected. Before you go on, this other one, Achala and Ndukwenu, are they also federal reserve? Because I know that Akbaka is federal. They are. They are. All really? Of them are. They are. The issue is this, that it got to a stage, the federal government, when the state government started complaining to the federal government, it's like, these lands belong to us, it's in our state and stuff. So federal government like, okay, let this one be under the jurisdiction of state government, the forest reserve, while national parks should be under the jurisdiction of the federal government. So I think now states could not protect that, maybe because of lack of interest. So I don't know. I can't tell what is actually happening. As in, it's my let me do whatever. Yes, and the resources there are very, very attractive. If you look at, if you monetize it, if you put it in, evaluate it in monetary, it has value. Forest reserve in the states? We have them in, No, in the states? Yes. We still have one that is functional. We have Osamara. But that Osamara, the problem we have is that the place is a swampy area, you know, is at Obaro. And, you know, and the situation about security now. So we find it difficult to access that forest.
So that's the only one that is still standing.
I would say it's standing a bit better than others
Too bad.
in Anambra State.
Okay, okay. Let's move on. We're still looking at how to preserve this wildlife. Okay, let's now come in with the technology you're talking about. Still coming from the question I asked initially.
Okay.
The animals and the tree are out there. So how do I stay in my comfort zone and monitor, control, protect them with technology? I'm coming to you.
Okay, thank you very much for that wonderful question. Now, the world is now a global village where you can use simple technologies to do so many things. Before now, if you tell somebody that the Pope will be in Rome and speaking, and somebody will be in Nigeria to celebrate the same Mass with him, somebody will say you have blasphemed God because he's the omnipresence and the omnipotent. But with technology now, what we are doing here is aired all over the world, is on all channels. We have so many mobile apps these days that you could use for monitoring. The simplest one is the Google Earth engine, where though it's not on real time, but you can use it for monitoring to an extent. Like my head of department said earlier, you know, we have remote sensing and GIS, where certain chips, certain cameras, just like the CCTV, closed circuit television, and so on, mounted on strategic positions. Some use imageries from the satellites. Of course, we have satellites that are for this function, working 24/7, taking motion imageries and so on and so forth, where one could stay at the comfort of his house to do monitoring. As a matter of fact, she's an expert in forest biometrics and remote sensing. And of course, she majored in that area where you can use technology to do so many things and to attest to what is happening in your forest. Okay, so coming down to what you talked about, it's so disturbing, even as NGO and as a department, the level of deforestation in Anambra State. These days, you discover that the heat we face here in Anambra State can be synonymous to what you see in the northern part of Nigeria, thereby changing the climatic nature, ecosystem of Anambra. This as a result, because most of these forest reserves, they play ecological role in a particular place.
Okay, we're coming to that. We're coming to the effects of this devastation that we are giving ourselves here. Yes, you saw that Jacinta is an expert. Is an expert in this technology thing about the forestry, the wildlife. Okay, so tell us now, Dr. Jacinta, how do we monitor these things and make sure that they are well protected? Because you'll be in your house and say that you have about 1,000 trees in a mammal reserve areas, and then you are still in your house where some farmers will get there and be cutting the trees and what do you do? How do you monitor all the animals? Okay. Just answer me less before we come back to the next question. A whole lot of things coming.
All right, thank you very much. If you are talking about monitoring at our own comfort zone, we are talking about like what my colleague has said concerning using simple technology in monitoring animals. These technologies, the issue we have here in Anambra State or Nigeria as a whole is assessment. You know, the assessment and the sustainability of it. If at all you have any, then how do we sustain it? You understand? So we have, that is the problem, is a challenge to us here in Nigeria, here in Anambra State, that we don't have such here to monitor, except the imageries. Then the imageries are just pictorial. They are not emotion, they can't show you those animals while on motion and stuff. So then that is where we have that constraint, we have the challenges about managing what we have in the forest reserve. Meanwhile, the forest reserves are gone already. So what do we have to monitor? Except we change our thinking, we change our attitude towards the forest resources we have in this state. That is when we now talk about what to monitor.
Okay, proper monitoring.
Yeah.
Okay, now as a head of departments in the, what do you call it, Department of Forestry and Wildlife. So we don't have this forest reserve again. The Aka is gone. Ukwenu, Achala, they're all gone. So actually are you using to teach your students about wildlife? Imagery?
Yeah, not actually. We also have some remnants of them in those reserves. We also have some within the university. Then in Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Forestry and Wildlife Department has taken it to its function or duty to take care of the remaining forest remnants in the university. All the conserved area, we made the efforts. Thank God for the Vice Chancellor, Professor Charles Esmone, who has the interest in protecting all those resources we have in Nnamdi Azikiwe, because most of the natural forests we have there inhabit or harbor wildlife, especially monkeys. If you come to UNIZIK now, based on what he has said concerning our zoology and the wildlife park, that was established because of those resources found in Nnamdi Azikiwe University. Over there we have up to or more than 4 species of monkeys and other wildlife there. That was
okay, it's already established.
Yes, it's established
really?
already, but what we are waiting for is the launching of it. It has not been launched for people to, we are just waiting for those animals that are displayed there to acclimatize to the environment before allowing people, because you know, tourists also come with certain exposure that can bring about maybe disease, infestation and stuff. So we allow those animals first to acclimatize before we open it up for people to come and visit and then look at what we have there, those that are existing in their natural environment and those that are caged, as we say. So even some of them that are caged, some will also be released later, eventually, into the wild. For them to, you just want them to, because some of them we are brought from environment that is not here, that is not the same with where they are brought from. So we just want them to acclimatize before we introduce them into the wild. And some will still be caged for people to come and do their research, and also for tourists to come and for their tourism stuff. So in the UNIZIK, we also use what we have there to teach the students. Then we also have plantation.
Okay.
Plantations established there, teak plantation that is well established.
In the school?
Yes, at UNIZIK Postgraduate College.
Okay.
So you'll find that existing there.
Okay,
We also take them out to those reserves, just like that, the way it is, and also let them to know that we in Anambra State, we have a lot to do to restore back our God-given natural resources. Beautiful.
Okay, the next stage of our discussion now will be the challenges that this wildlife is facing. We don't know, they don't talk, maybe they will have a way of finding out from them, the trees and the animals, but otherwise they have representatives here. So their representative will tell us the challenges they are facing, and then the challenges that you guys are also facing in this department. Okay, what we need to do, what the school needs to do, what government needs to do, and what we as a society need to do. But that will be after this break. Stay, please.
It's actually appalling that here in this part of the world we don't really pay attention to that. You know, outside there in the Western societies, poaching is a serious offense. But here, everything we see is for bushmeat. And you even see some states in the country that don't even have zoos. And it's not really, really good like that. Because you see some little children, they don't even know, if you tell them elephant, lion, and the rest, they only see them in pictures. So if we can preserve that, those are wildlife, it will even help us to have a direct contact with nature. because there are some species that are going into extinction. But if we can preserve them, at least we can even tell their stories or pass them on to the next generation. Because these things are like, those animals cannot really protect themselves. We humans are the ones who can protect them. So it's sad if the people that are supposed to even protect them are now the ones endangering them.
It promotes tourism. It can generate revenue for the country. From other people from other places to come here to come and watch. When I was small, I used to watch some television, nationwide mostly. But now, if there's a possibility, if there any possible way it can be established here, it will help the environment in a very good way. The government should improve more on the wildlife.
Use of hunters and all those things, killing wildlife, reducing life, and it's not good. Even they do advertise it, that is not safe of killing wildlife, that they should preserve it. I think it's necessary. Government.
Not even a zoo, which I advise if government can help us with that. You know, most of our children, when you tell them about wildlife, lion, they'll be like, ah, you know, they need to see all those things. I can remember then when we were small, back then in Enugu, we used to visit the zoo and all that. But here we don't have. Even the small farmers have in their homes, like poultry farm, even our dogs and all that. Most of us see them as a dirty job, but please, they are not dirty.
My champs, they use energy at school.
Your champs need nourishing energy. Give them the new and improved Milo at breakfast.
It has nutrients that support energy release. Milo!
Welcome back. We're still looking at the 2024 Wildlife Day, World Wildlife Day. That's exactly what we're looking at this morning. And I still have Onyekachi Chukwu and Dr. Jacinta Okamaka Ezenwenyi. That's the HOD Forestry and Wildlife UNIZIC with me. Gentlemen, you're still welcome. Yes, before we went on this break, I said that when we come back, we'll look at the challenges. We'll still have enough time to look at other things. But let's look at the challenges that you're facing. Let me start with you, Onyekachi.
Okay. The first challenge, thank you very much. The first challenge we have is the people, the mindset, okay? Yeah, the first thing is people just, first thing when you talk to people, they say they love eating wild animals. Now, we're not saying don't eat wild animals, but we're talking of sustainable management, where you use the natural resources without compromising the ability of the future generation to use that resources. You see testimonies from older people that when they were small, they used to visit so thing. You also testified that when you were small, that you used to go to Akpaka Forest Reserve and so on and so forth. So that generation used it without thinking of this particular generation. That's the first problem. Another thing is political will. You know, since Forest Reserve entered the hands of the state governors, our state government, and we have problem with our land law, where all lands belong to the state government, okay? Statutorily, you only have the right to use a land, irrespective of what that land is for. So somebody can just come up one day and decide to turn this place to a living estate without looking at the environmental and social impact that particular thing is. In our laws, you see that before you erect any particular building or any establishment or any project, you must do environmental impact assessment. How does this thing affect both the animal, the plants, the environment, and so on and so forth? But these days, you discover that most of the people that are experts, that are consultants, go away doing fraudulent things, okay, with people probably in the state government and so on, get these things in principle, but not in practice. Because everything you see, even this building, they would have done environmental impact assessment to have erected this building. You see the paper signed by the appropriate authorities. But was this thing properly done? And when you go to places like Kenya, their revenue, most of their revenue is from tourism, and they have natural environment. We're talking of how to sell something, how to sell something out. When you open out some of these things to tourists, they come in with their dollars, and we're actually selling it as an export, because when you give out this thing and people are paying for it, you know, there are a lot of value chains and so on and so forth. And of course, we talk of lack of manpower, because when you come to Anambra State Department of Forestry and Wildlife, you can barely count how many persons that are in that particular department. You go to the forest reserve, you find out that a whole forest reserve spanning over 200, 300 hectares is manned by only one person. Just imagine this complex, the studio complex of ABS. One security man cannot man this place, not to talk of a place that's like times 200 of this, you know. And most of these people that were employed in that particular department are people employed in those days. We don't have people employed recently. So we're calling on so many agencies that are involved. And of course, as an organization, NGO, we discovered it's not everything we wait for the government to do. We're also collaborating with the Ministry of Environment, with Department of Forestry, with Ecology and Climate Change Department to see how we can attract foreign funds to supplement the effort of the government. We'll see how we'll go about talking to people about this thing, and thank God for this opportunity. So, but of course, the government, who is the landlord, will first show commitment, will first show the willingness, political will, before we can now come in, because it is when they make the environment friendly that other people can come to support. Places like across River State have been benefiting from carbon credits. Okay, when you keep your forest, you know, the recent conference of party held in Dubai, Africans are advocating that we are keeping this forest, pay us for it, because people in the Western world are actually polluting the environment. So Cross River State and other states doing very well are benefiting from so many funds, so many bonds all over the world that is meant for this protection. I think.
So why is the state not benefiting?
Yeah, of course. If you don't have,
because I know some of these things are powered by NGOs.
Yes, because if you don't have, just like my head of department said, if you don't have what to monitor, you first start talking of, because there's something we did recently, my organization and the Department of Forestry and Wildlife, another organization, another NGO, attracted a fund to reforest. There's a natural forest in Unizik that has been degraded. We're planting 5,000 natural trees. We'll call it indigenous trees.
In Unizik?
In Unizik.
Really?
So that we will recreate that particular environment. Because these animals, by the time you mimic their natural environment, they will naturally come. Okay. And when we talk of wildlife, we have the birds, we have the vertebrate, invertebrate animals, we have so many things. So, and these things have their functions. Let me give you an instance. When last have you seen vultures? Now,
it's not where they are killing cows.
But even where they are killing cows now, what these vultures?
To them? People don't eat it. We don't eat vultures.
What happened?
They migrated.
Let me tell you. Okay. Now, they have particular function they do in the environment. These things are scavengers. Their body system is designed in such a way that they take things that will be harmful to the environment, digest it, and bring it out in such that it will. So that's why when you go to, and these functions they are doing in the environment, you've removed them from that chain, and these things are now causing problem to we humans. You know, God that created the earth and made everything before creating man said everything is good. That means it has given everything its function. So that thing the vulture is doing, that we have probably because of our action or inaction, these vultures are not there, you know. Now, we are now facing the direct impact of that thing.
Okay, but what really happened to them?
Now, there are so many things. Culturally, people use vultures for for maybe traditional medicine, ritual, and so on and so forth. Okay. Apart from that, the environment, climate change. By the time the climate is changing, they also are human beings, just like we migrate from the village to the city to here. When we look at a place that is better for us, they move, because these are birds that can move from one place to another. So they also move, they change direction. And before, once you are slaughtering even if a chicken, they have way they naturally they discover that something is happening. They fly around and they take the remnants, all those cow dungs and whatever, all those harmful parts, they will take it, digest it, especially animal that died on its own, okay? They'll take it, digest it, and bring it out in such a way that it won't be harmful to us.
Okay, we're still looking at the challenges that your department or wildlife, forestry and wildlife is facing, especially in this part of the world. Looking at the team, connecting people and planet, exploring digital innovation in wildlife conservation. Dr. Jessica, where do you think the government can come in, the NGOs can come in to ensure that the challenges you are facing or what will make you not to achieve this theme will be tackled?
Okay, thank you very much for this question, and it's interesting if government will really intervene, because we actually need the government to intervene in the challenges we are facing, especially in the southeast and Anambra. The issue is this. Talking about the reserves we have, the natural resources we have in Anambra State, especially the forest reserves, we found out that the management of those reserves are very poor, very, very poor. To the extent that we reached out to the head of the Department of Forestry under the Ministry of Environment, and she's also crying out and seeking for help that the government is not giving attentive or listening to them with all their complaints. The last time we visited the Mamu Forest Reserve, it was a terrible experience. We found that farmers we put chemicals on those trees in order to plant cassava, in order to plant cocoyam, and they have invaded the reserve to the extent that some people even erected normal building. Communities, in fact, they have communities and they have the head of communities in that same reserve. Then the buildings that were existing there for the workers that worked in that reserve before is nothing to talk about. No maintenance, everything has gone down, and Then the government, how we want them to come in is for government to have interest in the protection of that area, employ people. There was a grant I worked on in 2022. We went to Enugu State because we are supposed to use the 5 states in Southeast. But we went around the Anambra State. We could not find any area to use, and it was terrible. Eventually, we got places in Enugu State. We found out that the governor of our Enugu State was able to involve the youth in the management of the reserve, the forest reserve they have, whether it's community forest or forest reserve. They were able to employ young youths. He was paying them certain amounts of money. He equipped them and gave them the monitoring authority and what they need to do that job. And we found that you cannot even enter that forest and stay for 2 minutes without seeing someone approaching you, asking you, what are you doing here? What is this for? So when we went for that research work, we approached their community. They gave us the security that are there. And even while working with those security, other security were coming for patrol rather, in that place. So you find out that he actually put mind in the protection of that. And with this, the way we are talking about this forest harboring the maybe kidnappers and stuff, is because there's no monitoring team. If we have people that are monitoring that place, such thing will never happen.
Okay.
Such thing will never happen because they will take care of those forests, know who entered there and who is not entering there. So we are pleading with the government to just intervene, employ people. At least for forestry department in Anambra, we have produced or graduated more than how many sets now?
Where do they work?
That is it. The government used to involve them because they are experts. They are trained in all this. They have ideas on how these things can be done.
Okay.
So if government can open up this employment opportunity for them, give them job, employ them, give them the necessary help they need, I think this, what we are talking about, will be resolved to an extent.
Beautiful. Thank you. The government is watching. And then, Onyekachi, we have not really touched, what do you call it, the aquatic life. Is it not part of this wildlife?
Yeah, it is.
So this issue of, okay, but these days I think we breed our own fishes. We don't get to go and fish from the ocean or from the rivers.
You know, yeah, you know, the aquatic life too are part of the wildlife, just like I told you from the definition of wildlife, any plants, animal, vertebrate, invertebrate, you know, that are out of the direct control of man. But you discover that our activities on the land also affect the animals living in the aquatic body. For instance, these days we talk about climate smart agriculture, where people do back farming, where people don't use chemical. We're talking of organic agriculture, because all these chemicals, all these ill things we do on land, in one way or the other, find their way to the aquatic environment. For instance, the pollution using plastic bags and so on and so forth, they go to litter the aquatic environment. And this aquatic environment, all these animals, they also have their function in the ecosystem. Thank God for providing for alternatives like the catfish farming people do at home, the fish ponds and whatever, that reduce the impact of that make people reduce their attention in. But you know one thing with human beings, they will always tell you that they prefer that one that is
Hey, it's tastier now. You never chop on before.
No, when you say tastier, these things are relative. Because what will be tasty to you.
No, sorry. They feel bad when you tell them you eat their animals. Okay, we don't. But I don't know how you guys are battling this poaching of a thing. And then these wild animals, I hope, what do you call it? When I stay in my house and the snake comes in and I kill it, I hope I'm not hurting you. Because
see,
for white pussycats.
See, one thing I love, Oka, you know, naturally, conservation, we also have traditional means of conservation. Before now, our forefathers are good wildlife conservators. You will see one town or the other in the southeast states actually don't eat a particular animal. These people don't eat crocodile. These people like all kind of saying, understand? So, and agoro, you know, and so on and so forth. These things are traditional ways we conserve this animal. And when you go to this area, you find them in their numbers and so on. We have so much resources in Anambra State that could bring tourists here. And once tourists come, of course, there are so many value chain. The income of the people in that environment increase, people operating accommodation, transportation, and so on and so forth. So you don't just look at what that particular natural resources, you know, we have intrinsic and extrinsic value. Okay, so it's not about the immediate money you get from that thing. You look at also the value chain. Like last time I visited Egypt, they took us to the tomb okay, the pyramid and so on and so forth. Getting to the pyramid, there's so many value chain. You paid for flight to get there. You paid for taxi, accommodation, gate fee, and so on and so forth. So everything is the government and in the state that is gaining it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
you very much.
Let me add to the...
Hey, 1 second. My time is up.
Oh, yeah.
Just
I want to talk
second.
about something on the fishery, the wildlife, aquatic.
Yes.
And the deforestation is contributing to it. Because these trees help in watershed. They are watershaded. Then, if you get to something like this Ndukwenu now, you have a water body that passes through a particular forest there at Ndukwenu, natural forest. You find out that now they started opening up that place. The water starts drying up. You understand? So why is drying up? The wild aquatic life there must live. Either they die off or they migrate.
Why is the water drying?
At that Ndukwen, if you go there...
I said, why?
Why? It's because of the exposure. Yes, they have exposure.
It's sure it's not to Milialo say that.
No, not at all. You know, those trees, they are protecting them. That's why the watershed, they protect them from drying up.
That's what I remember.
So having direct contact with the sun or something like that.
Okay, thank you. Stop pushing, stop, destroying wildlife.
Stop,
that's the bottom line.
Stop.
Thank you, Dr. Jacinta Okamaka Ezewenyi, Head of Department of Forestry and Wildlife, Nnamdi Azikiwe University. Thank you very much for coming today, ma'am.
My pleasure. Thank you, ma, for hosting us, ma.
Okay. And then Onyekachi Chukwu.
He's a doctor.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He didn't tell me last time he was there. He didn't tell me. I think I posted you here once.
Yes, you
yes,
posted
I
me,
just, recognize your face. So, okay, Dr. Onyeka Chukwu, also a lecturer, and then in Forestry and Wildlife Department in Nnamdi Azikiwe University. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having us, and thank you, ABS, for this opportunity. We really appreciate and we don't take it for granted.
Thank you very much. Tell your NGO that we need more of their actions to protect wildlife in Anambra State, because it's an NGO thing mostly.
We will. Okay.
Thank you. Those of you that joined us this morning, that watch from different parts of the world, thank you for joining us. Thank you, the cameraman, led by Arize Machuku, and then the floor manager, Ekumog. Okay, thank you, the director, the MCR guys, the producer, Ifi, Chinyere, Justina, a whole lot of people in the house. Thank you for making it happen this morning. My name is Ijama. God keeping us. We'll be here tomorrow morning. Thank you.
My champs, they use energy at school.
Your champs need nourishing energy. Give them the new and improved Milo at breakfast.
It has nutrients that support